since we don't have the president as the secretary, I will call this, can we click this one?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll call this meeting of the Rockland Fire Protection District to order. Present are board members Dunn, board members Mack, fire chiefs, and our attorney John Kelly. Welcome, John, and no others in attendance. Oh, I did say you were there. Did I? I did not. I clicked off your name, so, you know, if you want a hug, I can give you one.
Okay.
But, yeah. So with that, why don't we pledge of allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So seeing as we do not have the board president in attendance tonight, I would like to nominate member Dunn to be acting board president for this evening.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Andy, you want to say, you want to oppose? I think you're right.
I'm good with it. I'm good. I like him.
So with that, I turn it over to you, sir.
All right, great, thank you. So agenda item number 3, consideration of the minutes from the regular meeting of the Rockland Fire Protection District Board of Trustees from Monday, September the 8th. You were not in attendance.
I was not in attendance, so I couldn't.
I did take a look at the minutes and everything looked good to me. That being said.
Well, in that case, I motion that we approve the minutes as done.
All right, I will second that.
Voice vote?
Yep, voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda item 4, Chief's report.
I'll start it off.
Sure.
So just as far as car volume went last month, a little bit more towards normal trends. 16 calls total, 12, not 13, 12 were EMS calls, nothing really out of the ordinary. The one thing that I did mention when I emailed you guys, our reporting system, what used to provide all of this information was their legacy reports. They called it an ad hoc. And they've gone to this insights now, which is like, it's supposed to be a little bit more intuitive, helps you build better dashboards, fancier looking graphs, but all of that old data that used to just be provided to me every month and came in an email disappeared. So I did try to put together a little something. It does look a little bit different. I haven't had a chance to sit down. I did talk to Chief Picasso about this a little bit. Maybe this is a good time just for us to standardize so that it is exactly the same stuff along the way. So over the next couple of months, maybe we start to hone in what you guys are really looking for, make sure that we're providing it. If it's the same info and we just want to, marry up the way that it's presented, we can do that. Maybe this is the time though, if you guys are looking for something different or want it packaged a little differently, we just take some feedback because now I have to rebuild and do something anyway. So it's not creating extra.
Every year we do the annual report, and every year it's a little bit of a more than a little bit of a back and forth. So, and it was occurring to me as I kind of get into this farther and farther that yes, if we have a consistent monthly report between both departments, all we have to do is sum the report and we're done.
Yeah.
As opposed to data mining, which is what I think we had to do last year. I think you and me were going back and forth. Is this an EMS call, or did it really happen? And
Right.
yeah. So
If we can get them on the same thing coming from both departments,
That's what I'm.
why not do it?
And that just might, like I said, this might be the right time to do it, just because there's gonna be some legwork anyway, so let's, from the get-go, maybe reevaluate where we're at, so.
No.
Caveat to that is we're going to.
You're going to try.
In this trend,
Yeah.
January 1st.
But,
We'll see,
but
we should be able to.
you guys are gonna be building again, right?
Yes.
So like, that's the thing, is like, over the next couple of months, we both are going through changes, so.
Yeah, because
It's a pretty similar program.
I think what we can do is like, if there's anything additional that we as a board would like to see, I think most of it's really well summed up in what you guys provide today. But if there's anything else, it's a perfect time, like Andy, like you said, to add in anything if we need to.
I think now's the time to just kind of standardize what we're going to call each of the calls, because
I think not in calls, but also like, what does, what are the different names, the times that we have on there? Like the alarm to dispatch, alarm received, like
Oh,
all of, like,
yeah.
even just the columns, like the
Right.
columns match, so that you get,
Yeah, like-
when alarm comes in,
Yep.
when it says alarm time, what does alarm time mean?
Like get
Yes.
a common header row between.
Right, and when we say response time, does response time mean from the time the call came in, or does it mean from the dispatch time, like, just so that
Yep.
that piece of it is consistent across the board.
For sure.
That's stuff that we obviously can sit down and just have a conversation and figure out where those columns line up, but making sure that it is providing you guys with that piece that you guys need.
Yeah, so I think it's less, I would say, because you got to mine the data, obviously, we're gonna need to know when the call came in, when it got toned out, when we got on site. Now, how we're gonna break that out, how you're gonna show it, what works best for you guys?
So I was like, can we maybe come up with that and continue to present it and just say, how's this look?
I think that's fine as long as you can get like a data set from it, so we can do the annual.
That's
Then
exactly it.
is, the presentation of it, I think, is more of a, like, just a presentation.
Right.
But as long as the data is there that we can do the annual from, I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, well, I know one of the things that I occasionally get bug pulled about was, well, what was the call time? You know, how long did it take them to get there? I'm like, well, depends on what you mean by how long, you know, and then when you answer a question with a question, people think you're being evasive.
Of course.
I am a victim of some past history, just like everyone else is, so, like, no. There's a difference between when you set that phone on the cradle, if anybody does that anymore, dating myself here, and when the dispatch tones it out, and when they actually get out of the barn, and when they actually arrive on site.
Right,
What
so
you really wanna know is, how long did it take between when you put that phone down and when did they arrive on site? But some granularity, how you get the granularity in there,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that to you guys.
Sounds good.
I think it would be good to have some granularity in there, because like, there was that situation on your street.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like, if you did like, just for example, like, call time to dispatch, or call time to tone to out the door to on scene, and then leave it at that.
Sounds good.
Just something
Yeah.
something that's simple.
That works for me, that satisfies the requirements of the annual report as I know it, and that answers for the most part.
It answers every question that I've ever been asked
Yeah.
by any member of the public.
It's those
You haven't had the
markdown
lady at
times.
the end of my street though.
You're right.
That one lady on the corner that has that oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, we'll work on it then, and again, it might be 2 or 3 month process as they're transitioning some of their data records too, but at that point, like, we'll work together
no,
on it.
I like it, cause we're gonna have to backcast some of that anyway, so we may as well be thinking about that now, cause, John, when do we do the annual report? So, February?
What annual report?
Just the district annual
We
report.
have to do a district annual report.
Like a number of calls.
Yeah. I think we do that in January or February.
Yeah, I think probably February or March, I mean, the year ends April
Yeah.
30, so.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, we got some time, but I don't wanna have to say, oh, geez, guys, can you go back and find out what happened last June? You know, and then you're doing it, and I'm like,
Well, that's probably the beautiful thing with the system they,
Oh, yeah,
systems
you
they
can
have,
pop
is
that
you
up
could,
in no time.
you could probably put in a date range and it's gonna just
I'm
spit
doing
out a
it all
summary
the
of.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
okay, that's perfect.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
perfect.
Alright, that works. As far as like just like inside of our own department, our application process is wrapping up. We have about 10 more days left on our application, and by this time next month, we'll be into interviews. So I mean, that progress is continuing to go well. We've got a lot more people this go around, which is great.
You guys had a decent pool?
Yeah, compared to the last, which was just May. You know,
Right.
Don't tell anybody, we have a lot more medics coming, which is good.
Good.
Don't know if we'll be able to snag
I
up
won't
before they
mention
go,
it to Larry,
but,
though.
yeah, please don't tell them. But
Going through my list of grenadiers.
yeah, it's a little bit more optimistic right now, which is a good thing. And then on the 19th, so in a couple of weekends, we're having our open house. So obviously you guys are, as a community, more than welcome from either side of the tracks. We'd love to have you out there, but 11 to 2 at our main station on Deer Bay.
Try and make it if we can.
From our end, we had 9 calls, it looks like Chief has in his report summary here. There was they're injured. So if they would have said they were injured or reported injury, we probably would have got Lake Forest ambulance on the road sooner, but they're up at one doing the rodeo. And, so it was a non-emergency response from up there, so, just a simple lift assist.
And that was a non-transport.
Yes.
So again, classic, what,
Yeah.
a lift assist has been like 6 different things.
Yeah, exactly, right, yeah.
But, okay, those were all EMS calls, right?
We had one lockout and one motor vehicle accident. I don't know, he's got an alarm activation. Yeah, one alarm activation.
Okay.
Okay, so six EMS and
Yeah.
6 or 7 EMS.
As far as internally, we just hired Jonathan Seidendahl. He is a non-medic, a little older, he's 36. Was part-time at Wakanda and Wonder Lake. So we just got him into the Lake Forest paramedic program. So we'll, he's got a large task ahead of him. He hasn't been out of school for a while, but he's gung-ho about it, and so hopefully it all works out. We're gonna help him through that. Just started last Wednesday, the 1st, isn't it?
Nice.
Our full-time guy's 38, but they'll become good friends.
There you go. They can help each other,
Two
yeah.
old guys, yeah.
Hey, you know what, sometimes those guys are just jewels because
Well,
they don't need any hand holding.
Right, yeah, they've been through a lot already, so. We just wrapped up, our open house was last Saturday, and then we also wrapped up our Citizens Academy that we ran for the first time. And we did a pilot program, I don't know how much the chief talked about it before, with just some mostly internal people and some other ones that we handpicked just to kind of run it and then give us our feedback before we take it to the public, so. Next time around, which possibly maybe in March, we'll open one up to the public and do it again. But it's police, fire, and public works. You do 5 weeks with us, 5 weeks with police, and then 2 weeks with public works, so.
Oh, that's cool.
We got really good feedback from the fire side. Their first night of police was last night, so I thought we did way better. I'm just kidding.
Public works though, that's interesting.
Yeah, so they're gonna, I'm not sure what they're gonna show them, but,
Dump trucks.
yeah, dump trucks and crew plants.
Yeah.
But no, they got some cool stuff down there that hopefully they can, you know, they got some trench rescue stuff that they do of their own, not rescue, but for
The
the
trench
stuff.
work and
Yeah.
water main stuff
Yeah.
and.
And it's all the like non-fancy stuff, but it's the stuff that
Exactly.
keeps everything going, right?
Yeah.
And we've been having nothing but main breaks, so they're really good at those.
Yeah, we just had a huge one.
Yeah, it's rough, so, as far as that goes, that's pretty much what's happening. We're gonna be doing, Station 1 remodel, which I think we brought up to you guys before. We met with the architect today, he has some sketches for us, so it's not, it's probably gonna be a lot of money, but it's only a small area. It's like just our bathroom area and the back half of the house, so.
Nice.
It's amazing how the price goes up when it's government construction.
Yep, it is.
Well, part of it is
Plumbing
too.
and electric and
Yeah.
so. But no, we're excited, we need new bathrooms back. So, that's all I got for you.
All right, so, before we go on, so we're gonna hit this later on, but I wanna get this straight in my mind, because I don't think I know, I understand this correctly. But you guys provide, both departments provide a fire inspection in our AOR. If I understand correctly, both of your inspectors, and I want you to correct me, but both of your inspectors rely on the NFPA adoption and the 181 adoption as done by the county. So whatever the county is doing, that's what
Yes.
you're doing.
That's who, yeah, whatever they adopt is what rules we're going by, yes. And then we
Okay.
have, I don't know currently if the county's in line with what our village has. Sometimes they're off by like an addition or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, after you raise the question, Bruce, I checked. County right now is 2024 IRC.
So it's probably up to date.
But the problem is, I looked at their, and you guys well know that the local authority having jurisdiction can modify. The county is modified to say strike fire officer and then put building officer. So all the county code says enforcement's through building, which to me causes some concerns for fire enforcing it.
I can double check with Weaver.
Yeah, and even
No,
when
we've
we've
got
had
a lot
some-
in the district, so.
Yeah, when we've had enforcement issues with anything here, I think we've come back either through you guys or gone like, we can have our own recommendations, suggestions, but the city of Lake Forest obviously can't.
Right.
We
right.
can't
No,
impose it as a
And then
piece,
we the same,
but,
we have to go through our village hall for all the village stuff, through probably our
Of
planning and
course.
zoning, I think that's who we were
Of
meet
course.
with. So yeah, county would probably be the same way, we'd have to get the county involved
So,
for the actual
no,
enforcement.
what I was trying to do is avoid just the thing that you talked about, which is, or somebody mentioned, which is the county gets out of step, or we get out of, so suddenly we're going with 2022, then we're 2024, and you're leaving a seam in there. And so the idea, and I'm the troublemaker here, so I throw out the idea of adoption by reference. It's like, if we, as in your fire inspectors inspecting our AOR, are constantly, whatever they're referring to, in terms of underlying requirements, shouldn't we just reference that directly? But you bring up the point that there's some inconsistencies
There-
between,
There's certainly the possibility of inconsistencies.
Right.
yeah.
I would, I mean, to be honest, I think I would love to have our Lieutenant Weaver here.
it's the same.
He is really good with knowing all the code, how to follow, how to do it all, and then the differences between like the villages and the county. So I should talk to the chief about having him swing out here for maybe your next meeting, or even if you guys wanna follow up with an email with your questions, we can definitely get back to you.
Yeah, because you guys both have unincorporated areas in
Oh, yeah.
your districts,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Not
Or
ours.
not, you guys do. So he's probably familiar with having to go through the county because of that.
And that's just my fear, is the counties is more geared towards their building as opposed to fire enforcement.
Almost saying that the
Yeah.
building inspector should be the one doing the fire inspection as well.
Cause they don't have a fire department.
Right.
Right.
Because they don't have a fire department.
That makes sense.
But what I'm hearing
It's
is,
ruled by the
you guys are
district.
referring to the county.
And I think ultimately you guys still
I
adopt
think, but I
something.
don't wanna say 100%.
So let's get to the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah.
of that, because what I don't want, so, and I totally agree with what you're saying, John. The other side of this though is, we get into an enforcement action, and let's say the inspector is citing what he or she works with every day, but we didn't know, and we didn't update our ordinance, and it's not consistent with our ordinance, and then you get a person's like, whoa, blah, 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 and then they're trying to work that seam,
Yeah,
and then we lose 2, 3, 4 months while we screw around with it.
and that's a fair concern. And the district does have an ordinance that adopts the IRC. I think the addition was, what, 2019 was the last time?
Yep.
The district, so we're a couple of editions behind. And that, I think, was what started this discussion. And then I had drafted a sample ordinance, basically just adopting the 2024 code, and then Bruce raised the question about incorporation by reference to the county's code. And
Because, and that's exactly it, because what bothered me a little bit as I dug into it was, we had just, through nobody's fault, we had just missed a couple changes along the way.
that's not uncommon.
I imagine
Most
it's not.
districts don't update their ordinance adopting a specific code on a timely manner as to when that code is modified. If we looked around,
To say some cities are the same way, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, like,
Oh,
they skip
sure.
a year or two here
I'm
and there,
sure.
just don't get to it, and then
Yeah.
the next one's out, see, that's what I
Yeah.
go with.
I'm sure.
and they do them every 2 years, I think, is
Something like
IRC,
that, and like some
2
of
or
them do
3
like
years.
I put some notes.
NFPA, some of them do
Yeah.
Right.
IRC, I
C or
think, is a-
whatever.
but,
I mean, as far as I know, with the buildings that we've done for you guys, he hasn't run into any issues, but yeah, it might as well be preventative.
yeah.
It's good
perfectly
to tie
happy
in, I
with-
think Weaver's a
with
great
the
resource. in
ordinance
that
that you
job.
adopted.
Just get,
Yeah.
email Shane with that group.
Or as you drafted it. I'm fine with that, and we can talk about that later in the agenda, it's actually on the agenda. But it occurred to me that's like, we're gonna miss one, inevitably, it's gonna happen. And if we could just do a reference and then call it one and done, well, why not?
Can I ask a question? Just in general, how different are the codes from edition to edition? In terms of the kinds of enforcement issues you might have to deal with?
They're probably not
They're
too
not
big a
that different.
Some of the sprinkler stuff gets in there, some.
Sprinklers
A lot of times
change.
it's like the new thing that comes up, so like there's gonna be a lot more, from 2009, the EV, I was gonna say the batteries, like since 2019, that whole world has changed, right?
Yep.
So all of the new stuff is gonna have that in it.
Sprinkler designs have changed dramatically in the last
But for like a
5, 6
legacy
years.
building where something hasn't changed in the building for
for
Yeah,
20
nobody's
years.
like
They're
retrofit or
Your
anything.
normal
like that.
inspection is gonna be your normal
Right,
inspection.
you're not
So
gonna-
unless they're gutting the place out and,
Exactly.
yeah,
And I-
Basics, exits, fire signs.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all gonna be pretty
Extinguishers.
standard
No, and I think if we were going through a lot more new
development kind of.
development, commercial construction, I'd probably lean farther into this, and I don't wanna lose sight of this, because I'd just like to kind of put this on autopilot if it's possible to do that. But for right now,
I think if our two guys get their heads together and then come up with exactly what you guys are looking for, they may be able to answer your guys' questions with just simple answers.
can we put that, can I
I
put
got
that on
it
the
on
agenda
here.
for next month?
I put a few notes to see
Okay.
if we can get Weaver.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll just put it on the agenda for next month. But I think in the meantime, I see no harm and a lot of benefit in just adopting the draft that John has put together.
I mean, I think my advice would be if we're gonna get the advice from the two departments next month,
Just
Just
wait-
wait until we hear?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, we can do that.
And I just,
I just, as I said, I hate being out of sync because I've actually lost in court over stuff like that.
and if they come in and say the Lake County code is fine, then we can just do this Lake County code as amended in
Yeah.
the future.
And then if that's what they're inspecting to and
Right.
enforcing on, we're all on the same page, and if the
because that
county.
is, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was gonna say if the county updates, then we're automatically
Yeah.
on.
Right, no, exactly.
And if that's what they're enforcing in the unincorporated areas in Libertyville at least, it's consistent then.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I like it.
Anything else for a chief's report?
Yeah, one other thing that I wanted to raise, effective January 1, 2026, Illinois has adopted an ordinance that's gonna allow for lift assist. I don't know if that's a big thing for you guys, particularly in the response to the district. If it is, then the district may want to adopt a model ordinance on charging for lift assists.
We are looking at that internally right now.
Yeah, Megan brought that up last month as
Yeah.
well.
And we do now have we internally drafted a model ordinance. So I'll get that out to all you guys to take a look at.
Yeah, especially considering,
So then what I would say to that is, we're trying to figure out exactly what the statute says, right? Is it 6 times to that nursing facility, or is it 6 times to that patient? So we're kind of going through our legal,
Yeah.
for that. I think I read it as 6 times to that facility.
That's the way
I
Megan
think Mike
said
can
she
say
read
that
it
as
as
well.
well.
Yeah,
We had this talk last meeting.
Yeah, so we've been kind of back and forth, I'm like, we'll just throw it to the lawyer and see what he says, but, more and more of these facilities are going hands-off, which is causing more and more calls. So, not that you're looking at as a revenue generator, you're looking at it as a deterrent to just stop calling
Just-
911 to make it our problem because you don't want your employees to get hurt
Yeah,
with their
stop
backs.
the hands-on
Yeah.
stuff and actually give some care.
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
that's just it. I mean, you're trying to shift responsibility for the patient, and I understand the liability concerns and the concerns with.
But they're just trying to shift liability.
Right, exactly.
And-
So what's the
and-
difference between our insurance carrier and theirs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I just, if that's gonna happen, then we need to create a disincentive for that. Because the public should not have to bear that burden.
Yeah.
That's literally the public, for the people on camera, that is literally the public underwriting a private industry.
Correct.
Right, well, I'll get that to you before next meeting.
Great, thanks. All right, agenda item 5, public comment. The district trustees allow time for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the fire district trustees on a matter not listed on the agenda. Each person is addressing the trustees is asked to limit their comments to a minimum or maximum of 5 minutes. Any public comment? No public present. All right. Agenda item 6, discussion or action regarding maintenance and repairs to the district building emergency generator.
So, that was literally, the genesis of this was the day of the last month's meeting, as I was lying in the truck, trying to not throw up. But, long story short, there's been a lot of, things like this going on with the generator. is basically the generator itself, when it gets its annual maintenance. Hey Karen, how are you? You know, we just had public comment, so it's not too late if you want to make a comment.
No.
Well, we like having the public here. But the issue is, when they come in and they do the annual maintenance for, like, it's not cheap either. It's like,
No, I think Marson had the bill and presented the bill last month.
But what they basically do is, they don't replace the fluids, they don't replace the hoses, they check the fluids, they check the hoses, they do a startup, if something needs to be fixed, they fix it. We got our generator rolling, largely, I mean, a lot of effort went into that by Marson and others. And it was working fine, it does work fine. But when it does an automatic startup, what happens is it immediately puts the generator on load. Now, when Marson manually flips it on, it's not under load, so it doesn't come to temperature fast. So the thermostat, which is just like the thermostat in your car, has time to adjust. So after the guy looked at it, he said, I'm not gonna tell you I'm 100% sure, but I'm 95% sure it's the thermostat. So here's the thing, to replace the thermostat, I gotta drain all the fluid. If I'm gonna drain the fluid, I may as well put in new fluid, I may as well put in new hoses, because the hoses you get, and this is where we got into a circle, I was like, well, you just replace them. You replace them every year. He said, no, we don't replace them. Just checking the dates on the hoses, they get replaced when they look ratty. And if we're gonna do it, let's just do the hoses, do that, do the fluids, change the belts, change the plugs, and while we got it apart. Because you're paying the labor anyway, so why not? We would not need to do an annual maintenance after that, obviously, for a year. And the way things are going, it's probably 2 years. We're probably gonna be in this building another 2 years. I keep trying to get through to the actual district engineer, the IDOT, who is the person who has the master schedule sitting on, in this case, her wall. But Mary has not gotten back to me, and I don't blame her. Their lunch is being eaten by 294. So everybody thinks toll road's paying for that, and not quite. So, with that in mind, what I'm going to suggest, and I'll turn it into a motion in a moment, is that we accept the proposal as done, reject maintenance for this year, but instead have the repairs made and have a functioning piece of equipment, because if it was just us in this building, I would have a different opinion, but it's not. This building is used by NIPUS, not to mention the fact that, you know, if something really does happen, you know, this building does become a shelter as well. So with that's my opinion. So I'm going to make a formal motion, that we accept the proposal.
And just one quick question.
Hmm?
As part of the annual maintenance and what we would be doing, there's nothing being missed that would normally be done during the annual maintenance that would be part of this. Okay.
No, if anything, no.
It's doing more, but it's doing everything that normal maintenance would do, plus fixing what we need to get fixed.
Basically, when the guy came out here, he did the maintenance for
Okay.
all intents and purposes, because he had to bring it up to speed,
Yeah.
check it and everything. It's like, and I said, well, what's different between this and when you do a maintenance? And the answer is nothing. You know, just we come out, no, I mean, and fair's fair. They come out, they put it, you know, they bring it up, they turn it on, they check everything, they make sure it's running, they run a diagnostic on it, and that's pretty well it. If they need
They
to
will replace the hoses and the fan and belts if they need
If they
them.
need to, they'll inspect all of it, and the point is,
And that's not an extra cost, I mean, that is included as needed.
I think within some limits, the way
Well,
he
just-
made it sound like,
The
they'll do
those are
minor stuff.
consumables, if you will,
Yeah.
so they are, and the filters.
yeah, the filters, yeah. So the minor stuff they'll do, but like I asked them about the lower end hoses, which are not easy to get to, and they're not cheap.
You
And
have
he
to
goes,
drain
no, no,
for
no,
that.
no, we touch those, I gotta drain the whole equipment,
Yeah.
I gotta, the equipment's drained down, 'cause that's gonna cost you quite a bit, because, and those hoses are, they're cut to order. So it's not as though, they're gonna run over to the Napa Auto and get those, so I wish they could. want that cleaned before they touch it for fear that they'll get whatever
Sick
that
or
is.
something like that.
Yeah. Here's the disease. So,
Yeah.
so, okay, fine, we can do that.
Just for FYI, the bill to do this repair work is $2,818. The annual maintenance would be $1,220.
Okay.
And the service call to determine that we needed this
Was it 800?
was 700, just under 800.
Yeah.
Just so, you know, you have full disclosure.
So, I mean, I'm happy to kind of be the point of continuity, just as Carl is the point of continuity for a lot of things in the building. I'll be the point of continuity for this generator, because it's clear to me that Buckeye Power, you're gonna get whoever they hire. And their systems, the record-keeping systems are less than detailed. Yeah, I mean, from what I get, I mean, I was a little peeved with them, quite frankly, but I looked around and, they're actually pretty well regarded. They are doing some of the stuff for, the emergency dispatch center over at the Navy base, and, they're pretty exacting. So I was talking to the chief over there, and he's happy with them. So I'm like, okay.
To your point, we might as well get it done. We know it's gonna need to get done
Yep.
sooner or later. Might as well knock it out.
And I mean, we've got the money in the budget, for, you know, for building maintenance, that'll cover that.
Yeah.
Perfect. As I said, if we didn't have other people in here, or we were looking at, you know, IDOT being able to act on their plans in an imminent fashion, I feel differently,
For sure.
but I don't. That's not gonna happen.
I also want to preserve the value of that. When IDOT takes the building, it'll be very interesting to see what we can do with that thing, because you're not gonna get it out without bringing a crane into the parking lot of the next building, lifting her that one out. But I imagine it's worth something.
They are.
They are, and a low hour generator, and that's a low hour generator. They're actually worth quite a bit. So, okay, well, with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal by Buckeye Power as tendered with minor changes as necessary, on the fly, to the tune of
2818.
2818.
plus or minus.
Yeah.
Again, there may be some minor changes, and I'll be present for that when it happens. I'd like to make a motion to accept that as tendered by Buckeye Power.
I will second that.
Those in favor? Pardon, I'm sorry, I'm stepping
Roll
on
call
the-
vote. Trustee Mack,
Aye.
trustee Dunn, aye. And trustee Marston, absent.
Okay.
All right, agenda item number 7, discussion or action regarding updates to the District Fire Protection Code ordinance. We covered that a little bit ago. We're gonna table that for next month, based on what we can find out from your inspectors and the county code.
Okay. And I'll add that to the agenda, and if you guys could research that, it would be lovely.
All right. Agenda number 8, attorney's report.
Outside of what we've already discussed, there's no real legislative action. They come back to Springfield on the 14th, 14, 15, 16, and then 28, 29, and 30 for the veto session. Right now, there are no, the governor didn't veto anything, so there's really nothing for them to do. However, people tell me that it's gonna be taken up with energy and transportation discussions. So that's all I got.
Okay, good. Thank you, John. Agenda item number 9, treasurer's report.
Look, the balance sheet for, as of September 30th, the Lake Forest Bank checking account is at $941,836.66. The reserve account is at $312,724.58. And petty cash remains at $81.75 for total assets of $1,254,642.99. On the budget, we are 5 months in, or 42%. We have just started to get the second half of our taxes coming in, so our revenues are about 85% of projected. We paid 50% of the IGA. Actually, as of that date, as of the first of this month, we paid the third installment on it. Building operations, we're running at about 20.8%. That's, you know, utilities and various other things we've been fixing. District administration, 10%, and that's all just the legal so far, because the salaries will come in at the end. Oh yeah, and the liability insurance is all paid up for the year. So that's pretty much it on the budget track.
Great. Motion to approve the budget as presented.
I'll second that.
All right. Roll call vote, trustee Mack,
Aye.
trustee Dunn, aye. And trustee
Malinowski, not present.
Malinowski, not present. And agenda item number 10, outstanding invoices.
Okay, we have, for Addison Brits, 850 for the legal retainer, Comcast 273, ComEd $540, Lake County Public Works for water, $26, Lorenzo and Son Landscaping for mowing the lawn, was 4 mows at $27, so $108. Ireland Heating and Air Conditioning to do the work on the unit, the downstairs unit, needed a new transformer, was $283. $234. North Shore Gas, $37. Lorenzo for the next month, they just overlapped, that was 5 of 27, so $135. Comcast also overlapped, we had 2 months worth being done this month. $283. Intersecurity systems for a quarter of alarm monitoring is $120. Citibank is the Visa, which I'll give the details in just a minute, is $276. And then Buckeye Powers was $780. So total expenditures were $3,665.44. And then the $276 on the Visa was for Squarespace for the web hosting for the district's website.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the outstanding invoices.
Second that motion.
All right, roll call vote, trustee Mack,
Aye.
trustee Dunn, aye. Trustee Malinowski, absent.
I need to add absent into this, as opposed to abstain.
Agenda item 11, discussion or action regarding district's fiscal year 2025 annual financial report and statement of receipts and disbursements.
Okay, I did send those all out. Copies of them. I have not a whole lot to say. On the statement of all monies received, this is a one-pager that really goes to the county. And it just gives the major items, you know, what our revenues were. Well, it starts out with cash on hand at the beginning of the year, what our revenues were, then so total cash available, and then expenditures, and then ending cash balance. And then it does, we have to list out all expenses paid over $2,500 in aggregate, and then all money paid as compensation to us. So that's basically it, very, very routine. And then I just need Karen to notarize. This one's ready, so Karen, if you want to do those. Now, on the AFR, the annual financial report for the comptroller's office, that's much more involved. And again, you know, I sent it all out. If you have any questions about it, I mean, it just goes through everything. We do this every year. And
Yeah.
the deal on that is, as long as our revenues are under $850,000, we don't have to have an audit. And audits are expensive. What we have to do is, you need to vote to approve this report. And then I have a form that the secretary will sign and Karen will notarize, that I will send with this report up to the comptroller, saying that the board has indeed approved this report. So,
Do we have to publish that as well?
no, the first one, John, I will give you a copy to give to the county. I'll send you an electronic copy too, then as I recall, that does get published too,
Yes.
right? Yeah, but report, is available on the comptroller's website to anybody who wants to go
Yeah,
see it.
they've been from the state.
Yeah, they just get it from them.
I mean, they are essentially one and the same, except that the comptroller report is a lot more.
A lot more detail, covers
Yeah.
the same, it covers the same period. The county's one is really very highly summarized, where this goes into a lot more. There's a lot of sections in here that don't apply, because we don't have any debt. You know, we don't have any pensions, we don't have any we don't have any capital assets, technically, that are, you know, depreciable or anything like that, you know, so. We're just we are a straight cash accounting, system, so. So yes, I would need you to, vote
So
to
do I-
certify, to vote to certify the, annual financial report.
All right, I will bring a motion to certify the annual report, as presented.
Second motion?
All right, roll call vote, trustee Mack,
Aye.
trustee Dunn, aye, trustee Malinowski, absent.
And then Bruce, I will need you to sign this as secretary and then have Karen notarize it. Yeah, you have it.
I think you get multiples of these, right?
Yeah, this would be good.
There, John, this one's for you.
Okay.
I will send you an electronic copy too.
Okay. Yeah, I can use this like time, just scan it.
Good enough.
All right. There you go.
Great, thank you. And oh, by the way, Marcy knows you did it for this.
Well, that is worth mentioning. You know, Karen does this as a public service.
Yes,
Thank you.
And we
Thank
do
you.
really appreciate it, yes.
So, otherwise, the district would have to go run this down and it would be painful and would cost taxpayer money. So, we do
Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, agenda item 12, other items that may be lawfully brought before the board.
I don't have an item to bring before the board, but I did mention earlier, do we have a pest management contract?
We do not, we've never,
How would we go about getting that? Is that literally like a call credit card thing?
just pick one.
I know a really good company, they come out already, what kind
Yeah,
of pest
well, what we
control
need to do is we
and-
need to get them, to clean out the insides of the generator, cause it's full of animal
Mouse to do.
stuff. Cause they won't tear it apart if they have to stick their hands in animal waste.
Mhm.
So, we gotta get that done, before we can go ahead and order that, so.
Arex Pest Control. AEREX Pest Control, I can email you their contact
Would you,
information.
that would be
Great.
lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
And generally, in our experience, is that most people, they'll just bill us. You know, but if necessary, if you talk to them, if they need a credit card number, we certainly give them that.
Yeah, once I get it, I'll contact them and, see what they do come out. And I believe the keys for the generator are still sitting on the wall over there.
I suspect so, once we moved it.
Well, last time I was not feeling quite right, but I seem to recall that I can get all of the panels off, and that's what they need to do, is just get the panels off.
Yeah. The key is normally kept in the key box in there. It's like the only thing in the key box.
All right, see if I can't make that happen. Okay.
Yeah, and just, you know, so, I will just throw this out, since we're having a exterminator come in, I suppose you could have them do the building, but I've never seen any sign of any pests in here whatsoever, so.
Well, we can have them, we can have them check out the building. I mean,
Just
like,
throw
if
that
we have
out.
Orkin come to our house, I mean, the guy takes 5 minutes, walks around, you know.
Yeah.
But, so we can have them do that while we're at it.
Good. Yep.
Sound good?
The only other thing I had, that email with the, like, spam FOIA request,
Marcin already took.
Marcy took care of it.
He took care of it because, as I understand it, basically the guy's data mining, it's a professional data
Yeah.
miner.
Yeah, so.
And, you know, we certainly that doesn't lower their, we
Their
still have a
value.
responsibility
Yeah.
to disclose that data. But what they were asking for was data that we didn't have and would require effort to find.
We don't even have it. I mean, it doesn't, right, I mean, the thing with FOIA is, it's technically only, you don't have to create a report. If you
Yeah,
don't have the
exactly.
report, you just tell me you don't have the report. In this particular case, it went beyond that. They were asking for
They were
something that.
asking for like crazy formatting,
No,
wanting.
no, it's just irrelevant. We don't, it's
Yeah.
just, we don't have that data. It doesn't apply to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
so-
somebody who's using a master's
Oh, sure,
request.
it happens all the
course.
time.
So,
So,
I mean, I used to get those all the time, and.
it was the first time I've ever received one, so
Yeah.
that's why I brought it up.
So a lot of this, no, it kind of, whenever I see them, I'm like, come on. It's one thing for them to say, can you provide us a copy of your purchasing records for the last 12 months? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Well, the fact is, we haven't bought anything. We don't use purchase orders, we haven't bought anything
Yeah.
with a purchase order, so it was irrelevant.
But then they go on to say, and we'd like it separated this way, and done this way.
Which you,
done
which
this
you
way,
don't
done
have to
this way,
do.
Which you don't have to do.
No.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you choose to do it, you can charge them to do it.
Right.
Yeah, in general, I haven't seen these in a while, but we used to get them on a regular basis. Well, when we still had employees, it would just be a list of, right? And they wanted it, they asked for it, it was a simple spreadsheet form, and that actually was the easiest way to give it to them, rather than try and pull 10,000 paper records and
Right.
Xerox. It was just like, yeah, I can just pull it out and give it to them. So we usually do it if it's a reasonable request. But given that, the way we operate now, there's very little data that anybody wants from us.
Yeah, this one was just irrelevant data.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I mean, their requests are no